When laws start shaping the values in your home, your children's classroom, and future opportunities, I think it's time to pay attention. There are three specific laws that I want to cover today that are trending in mainstream media. I want to go over these specific laws because I believe these laws affect family, they affect higher education, and they also affect future opportunities concerning Americans. Rulings on gender affirming care, the Ten Commandments returning back to the classroom, and also the dismantling of affirmative action and how it affects not only higher education now, but higher education in the future. I'll be talking about these things today, and I will be breaking them down. What are the stats? What's the information? What are the arguments? And also how it affects you and I. So stay with me, and I'll be right back.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always
Hi there, I'm Abby Kay. Welcome to the Creative Leadership Network, known as TCLN, where education is the specialty and solutions are the art. I brought this broadcast together so that we can rise above social, systemic, and spiritual issues that we face every day in our nation. The goal is to help us to do better, get better, and become better. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, make sure that your phone notifications are turned on so that you will not forget to be inspired and to stay informed. So with that being said, let's jump right in. I think a lot of times we get so caught up in entertainment or we get caught up in our everyday distractions of our lives that we really don't pay attention to what is happening to us around the world, also within our world. We're so distracted about gossip. We love to sit up and know what everybody else's business is, and we don't seem to see what our business is, whether that be international or whether that be in our backyards trying to find out what is the latest case on Diddy. But while everyone is distracted by that type of information, I want to make sure that I elevate you today with a specific type of information that I feel that can be of value to you. It has to do with policy, legislation, and law. These decisions are rewriting the rules that govern identity, education, and equality in America. Let's break down what's happening now, why it matters, and how it can shape choices for your family and for tomorrow opportunities. I'm going to start with gender affirming care for minors. This is a very touchy topic, as you know. There are many people who don't agree with gender affirming, and then there are some that do. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the facts. I always give the facts first, and then I break down the details of what the experts are saying, and then I give a little bit of my commentary and allow you guys to comment and give your commentary also and how what your expressions are. After all, this is a conversation in America. This is not just a conversation with me looking at the camera, looking at you, talking to you. You're also voicing your opinions and you're voicing what matters to you. This is a platform that when we come together, your voice matter. It's not just us talking. We're bringing input into important matters that is going on in our country today. The Supreme Court upholds Tennessee's ban on gender affirming care for minors. Case name, United States versus Skimity. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Skimity or Skimity. Decision date was June 18th, 2025. The ruling was 6-3 in favor of upholding the law. Tennessee 2023 law prohibits medical providers from offering gender affirming treatments. This includes puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and surgeries to individuals under 18 for treating gender dysphoria. Now, I wanted to look up dysphoria because you was probably like me, like gender what, right? So, gender dysphoria. In minors, this refers to the emotional distress a child or adolescent experiences when there is a mismatch between their gender identity and the sex that they were assigned to at birth. Let me repeat that again. When there is a mismatch between the gender identity and the sex that they were assigned at birth. In other words, they may be a male, but they feel that they are a female. And according to some reports, this supposedly brings them stress when people do not allow them to live as they identify themselves as. We're going to cover some things, right? Because I think there are some things that are very, very important. There are many emotions arise when you hear that statement, and I know. And so that's why I want to share not just the information of what's given from reports, but I also want to share experience. I think sometimes when we bring experience to the table, we bring more insight into the table. So let me continue. Laws around gender affirming care for minors vary widely across the United States, and the legal landscape is shifting rapidly. So when I was looking at that, of course, there were a lot of thoughts that came through my mind. I thought about this one factor. Number one, you cannot buy cigarettes in a lot of states, most of your states, unless you up to 21. Also, alcohol. I don't know if they changed it to 18 or not, but I know when I was growing up, it was 21. And I remember it was so strict that one time I worked at a store that sold liquor, and we had to be so strategically trained that we could not sell liquor to minors, that we had to always card and always ask for ID. And just to be safe, we didn't pretty much care about the age. You could still have gray, and we still had to card. Why? Because that protected you. I know sometimes they would tell, well, just use your common sense. But for the most part, you really don't know who's who. And if you did not do it correctly, there would be people that would step outside of their cars. Usually these was unmarked cars, and they would walk into the store. They would ask to speak to the manager. And then next thing you know, you were getting a warning, or depending on the severity of the situation, you were getting reprimanded for selling some type of alcohol to a minor. Why? Because they were always testing stores to make sure you didn't sell to minors. Now, I said that is because, in my humble opinion, if we don't think that minors can handle alcohol, what makes us think that minors can handle what they feel their sex is? Stay with me. We're going somewhere. We're going somewhere. That's just me and a little bit of my commentary. I'm going to stick to these facts, but that's just a little bit. Because if we don't think that they are capable to be smoking at a certain kind of age, because we know the implications of smoking, and we don't think that they should be drinking, because we understand that alcohol can impair you at certain, even adults. Some adults can't handle alcohol, right? And all of a sudden, we just feel that young people at the age of 12 and 13 and 11 years old, they just automatically just know that they want to be a girl, they want to be a boy. Culture did not influence them. The things they see around them did not influence them, but they know exactly who they want to be. And the reason why I brought that up is because most kids don't want to smoke. They don't want to smoke until they see their friends smoking. Most kids don't want to drink. They don't want to smoke until they see their friends drinking, or they see someone in society that is cool. So that's why I brought that up, right? There are a lot of factors that play at hand when it comes to these type of situations that I know that they kind of take into consideration, but then they don't. Because if you have to argue this, that means that you're not taking some things into consideration. And that's where we come in at, the public. While the lawmakers are making laws and the experts are arguing, we, the public, come with experience. We come with our stories, we come with our background, and it adds volume and it adds value to the conversation. And that's what TCLN network is all about. So I hope you're enjoying this so far. If so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe, guys. Hit that notification bell because every week, of course, I am bringing current news that is trending, but I do it from an educational and commentary background. So, and thank you for tuning in, okay? Now, let me continue. In June 2025, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld Tennessee's ban on gender affirming care for minors, ruling that it does not violate the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause. This decision effectively gives states broad authority to regulate or restrict such care, and it is expected to influence similar laws across the country. So, guys, understand that, right? Now, medical community versus legal landscape. So, in other words, what is the medical community saying? All the doctors, all the experts, and what is the legal process, and what are legal people like the courts and attorneys and different people have to say? Major U.S. medical associations, including the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Society, support gender affirming care as, as evidence based and potentially life saving for some youth. Now, that's their opinion, right? And that's their advice. However, the legal system is increasingly diverging from this consensus, with many laws citing concerns about long term effects or the need to protect children from irreversible decisions. Now, that is very, very important because when you make some of these decisions during surgery, there's no going back. I mean, unless you do a whole nother surgery just to put a vagina back. But once you have removed certain ovaries, once you have removed certain tubal functions or certain functions that help you bear seed in the earth, like if you want to have a child later on or whatever the situation may be, these are irreversible. Like you can't go back and undo these things. And what does a 13-year-old child know about all that at the time, right? So let me give an example. It's like you go out with your friends, right? And you like, oh, we're gonna get drunk. Mom and daddy going out of town. Baby, we getting drunk. We gonna light it up. We calling everybody over, right? And then all of a sudden you drink too much. You get what's called, they call it alcohol poisoning. But anyway, it's too much alcohol in your system. You end up in a hospital. You almost died. You didn't understand that all those things were gonna happen to you. You didn't understand that at all. You just thought in your mind, you're going to be having fun, right? So a lot of times these kids who think this is who I am, this is what I want to be, don't tell me any different. And if you do, I'm stressed out. And if you don't give me what I want, then you're not being fair or you're not a good parent or society is so against me. What they don't understand is that there is a whole new, how can I put it? There's a whole new heightened education that they haven't processed yet. You understand what I'm saying? Because no one can tell you that. People can tell you, but you have to experience it. How many times people have told us things, but it's not until we keep going through life, and sometimes it has nothing to do with age, but we keep going through life, and you be like, what do they call it? They call it the aha moment or the, oh, I get it now. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, I understand this now. Well, when it comes to something that drastic like that, it's not even about an aha moment. It's about a somber moment that I can't believe I made such a choice and that adults allowed me to make such a choice at this age that I can't even go back and reverse it. Now I may want a wife and I may want children, and maybe that's who I thought I was, and I was just influenced by society and culture and music and my favorite pop star and this going on, that going on, my friends or what everybody else had to say. Or maybe that's just what I thought I wanted at the time. How many, show of hands, put it in the comments section, y'all. How many of y'all fell in love with a guy or a girl when you were young and your parents disapproved? And you knew without a shout of a doubt that that's who you was going to be with for the rest of your life, And no one could tell you different. Your parents were crazy. They were haters. They were trying to stop you. They was trying to block you. Your friends didn't know what they were talking about. Your teachers are absolute num-nums. What do they know? They don't even hardly know their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, right? That's how you feel. And then one day something happens that break you out that delusion. And you look back over your life and you laugh at that because you think that's the funniest thing, right? You couldn't even believe that you was that serious about something that wasn't even reality. It was just your illusion at the time. Now, I'm not calling what people feel is an illusion. That's not what I'm saying. What I am trying to get people to understand, and I'm going to share a little bit of my experience because, again, I think experience is important. And what I'm trying to get people to understand is that these children are too young to get it right now. And having a boyfriend that you think you in love with at that time is one thing. You can always get some more boyfriends and girlfriends, right? But doing surgeries on your body and mutilating your body, taking away your breasts, taking away your tubals, doing all this kind of stuff, that is something totally different and should never ever be performed on minors. Now, whether you agree with me or you disagree with me, that's fine. That's why it's called commentary. That's why I give the facts, I give the news, but we are a commentary channel. You can give your side, I can give my side. We all add value, we all add our input. Again, just like we don't want our minors running around on drugs, we don't want them drunk, we don't want them high, we don't want them running around just doing any and everything. I think it's important that we make solid decisions for them until they get a certain age. And then if that's what they want, then that's their responsibility. But until then, you protect them and you try to help them and steer them as best as you can. So to make sure that they're making their choice and they're not just influenced by their society. Now, to stay on uh, course, I'm going to tell you about what some medical professionals are saying. So, Dr. Mason, a pediatrician and adolescent medicine specialist, wrote in STAT News that prescribing estrogen to a transgender girl is medically identical to treating a cisgender girl with ovarian insufficiency. Yet one Yet only one is criminalized in states. She warns that such legal double standards are devastating for youth and families. That's her input. You have Arthur Kaplan, PhD, a bioethicist at NYU Grossman School of Medicine, called the Supreme Court's recent ruling a setback, emphasizing that gender dysphoria is real and common and that denying care could worsen outcomes for vulnerable youth. The reason why I like to give both sides, again, I'm not an expert. I'm going to always come from the facts, experts, but we are a commentary channel, and us, the citizens, we voice our concerns, whether we mothers, fathers, whether we everyday people, whether we people that just have our own input and our own judgment. I think it all adds value, especially when people come with background and experience. You understand what I'm saying? Because you really get to see it from different perspectives. And then you have those who, of course, disagree. And they like to say to you that no, they don't necessarily agree with the other side. They feel that it's very harmful, right? They feel that it can have such implications that these, like you said, these things are irreversible. You can't go back and undo what you've done. Now you're dealing with the opposite of the fact. You're going to be dealing with psychological, emotional, and mental effects on that end versus the other end saying that if you don't give them what they want or you don't do these things and you don't acknowledge it, then they're going to be suffering psychologically. So you got two sides that argue this and they're arguing it from different points, right? Michelle Bratcher Goodwin, SJD, co-director of the O'Neill Institute, noted that gender-affirming care for youth has existed for decades and that bans often ignore the fact that similar treatments are accepted for cisgender youth. Okay? So that's their argument, of course. That's what they're saying. Now you have concerns about the medical risk, right? Like I was saying, Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the US Supreme Court majority in the Schmissus case, cited that known risk of puberty blockers and hormone therapy, including potential infertility and uncertain long-term outcomes. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services released a report in 2025 that questioned the evidence base for gender affirming treatments, calling them unprovable and irreversible, and advocating for psychological approaches instead. So you see the arguments that are going back and forth, you all. Tennessee's Attorney General and lawmakers argued that the law protects children from irreversible decisions that cannot be yet fully understood. And I agree with the attorney. I'm going to let you know my side, honey. And I'm going to give you my experience. That way you can understand why. You understand what I'm saying? Irreversible decisions that cannot be fully understood. That is so true. Now, when I was young, I'm going to go into a little bit of experience now. When I was young, I was in a situation where I was messing with girls, right? And really, girls were messing with me. But anyway, it got to that point, right? Now, I didn't know what gay was. I didn't even understand what gay was. Do you understand that? And where I come from, you never called it gay. You understand what I'm saying? I grew up with a religious background. That background was Christianity. And there were multiple people in my church when I grew up that was into sex with boys and sex with girls and all kind of stuff. So it's not that religion was a total factor. It was just that, of course, you knew that God didn't want you to live in a certain kind of way because that was instilled in you. But to bring it outside of religion per se, so people won't argue religion. I want people to really understand that at that time in my life, I was a very young girl. I'm talking about very young girl. We're talking about in little tweens, very young girl. And I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know whether I wanted a boy or a girl or this or that. I just knew I wanted a family and I wanted to be happy. And you understand what I'm saying? And I wanted to do something big when I grew up. Those are the things that I felt that I knew. But the encounters in my environment that I was experiencing, let me tell you something, sexual perversion was so horrible, me growing up, that kids played a game called Hide Go Get It. So do you remember that game, Hide and Go Seek? Y'all remember that? Hide and Go Seek. So you would go hide, someone would touch you, and if they found you, they got you, right? So you out the game, right? Well, this game was called Hide and Go Get It. Do you understand that? So what it meant that if a boy found you or a girl found you, they got to hunt you. Now, this is what little kids were doing. This is how much you are influenced by your environment. And this was back in the 80s, guys. You understand what I'm saying? So kids didn't really know unless they were in environments that taught them that. But they really didn't know what gay was or what this was or that was. They just know what was in their environment. Now, just think if I would have had a total sex change, thinking that I want to be a boy and thinking that, this is who I am, just think how much I would have been wrong. Because today, I know without a shadow of a doubt that that is not who I am and that is not what I ever wanted. And that's what I mean by having these conversations is very important. Experts are good, but also people are good. Experiences are good. There are going to be some people who sell an agenda because they want certain things done. And then there are going to be some people who give you experience and truthful experiences. There have been men who have came out to say they wish they never gotten a sex change. It's what they thought they wanted at the time. So, and they were full grown adults when they did this. So, how much more a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old, 17, just thinking that they have the end all be all and thinking that they just know that this is what they want. And this is why I believe that laws should be in place and that they, in all 50 states, not just so many states, protecting children until they are of a certain age. And once they get of a certain age, to make sure that they receive counseling to understand, is that what they really want? Because some of these decisions that you make, there's no going back, and you live with that. It doesn't make you a good person or a bad person. What it makes you is that if your culture and society does not protect you, they should protect you. So how would you feel if your child said, "Mom and Daddy, can I go out and party?" And mom and dad knew that there would be drugs there, but mom and dad say, "Yeah, baby, you can go anyway." And then the child ends up getting on drugs, and the child struggles the next 10 years, 15 years trying to kick a drug that its parents sat back and condoned, that its parents sat back and did. Don't you think that that child in the back of his mind is going to think, why come you didn't love me more? Why come you didn't protect me more? Yeah, it's what I thought I wanted. Yeah, I was rebellious, but you're the parent, not me. And you should have stood up for my rights. And that's what I feel about gender affirming care and the surgery on children. It's more about surgery on children. I would say if you have young people who are really feeling a certain kind of way, and they really just feel, I want this, I want what I want. Always remember doctors, attorneys, lawyers, experts, all kids go through that. It has nothing to do with just sex changes. A child will be stressed if you don't let them go to a party. A child will be stressed if you don't let them date who they want to date. I mean, a child will be stressed if you don't give them a piece of candy. They will fall out in the stroller. They be cussing you out crying. They be cussing you out in 50 different languages crying, beating on their stroller because you didn't give them no candy. So just know that it's up to adults and society to protect these children, and then they make their choices later. And then they know without a shadow of a doubt, you're held accountable for your choice. No one's influencing you, and these are your choices. So that's my intake on that. And I hope you guys comment, share in, give your input, guys. That's what TCLN Network is all about. We take the news and we have real conversations, okay? And I want to leave you with a few more doctors that are notable opposing medical voices. Dr. Hilary Cass, a British pediatrician, she led the Cass Review in UK, which concluded that the evidence base for gender affirming care in youth is remarkably weak. Her report recommends a more cautious, individualized approach and has influenced policy changes in UK. Dr. Stanley Goldfarb, chair of the group Do No Harm, has been a vocal critic of gender affirming treatments for minors. He argues that such care is experimental and driven more by ideology than science. His organization tracks hospitals offering these services and support legal restrictions. Okay. One more and the last one, and we're off that topic. Dr. Joanna Olson Kennedy, while previously leading a provider of gender affirming care at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, has come under scrutiny. A lawsuit and a 2025 study she led allegedly withheld due to inconclusive medical health outcomes have been cited by critics as evidence of need for more transparency and caution. So guys, you are who you are. Leave your details. It don't matter who you are. Just have that conversation. Have that conversation here on TCLN Network in the comment section. Have that conversation at home. Have that conversation with your family. If you have children, your children are going to grow up. Your children are going to be influenced by society. It's just the way it is. They have it in cartoons. I remember being at the hotel not too long ago in South Carolina. I saw them with a big grown man. It was a cartoon, but it was a big grown man. He's supposed to have been a teacher. He had a little pink suit on, and a little bow in his head, and there was little kids around. And he was the teacher. So it's in the cartoons, it's being influenced in everything. And you can't shy away from it. You got to have these conversations. And you got to have them. So have them. Okay. Next, moving on to my next subject. Okay. My next subject, 10 Commandments returning back to school. Ah, you made it to the end. Blessings, blessings, blessings. I am so glad that you stayed to the end. Also, I hope with all of my heart that you were able to be inspired and you were informed, that you found something out of today's broadcast that resonated with you and that you can take within your life and within your journey. With that being said, do not forget to support at my GoFundMe. Also, check out my bookstore at Preeminent Good Books Publishing. In demand leadership is a concept that I came up with because, after all, I don't care where you are in this world, what you do. The aim is to make sure we're getting better, brighter, and bolder. We do that through lifting one another out of systemic, social, and spiritual issues that affect us daily. Thank you so much. And as my favorite childhood reporter would say, courage, my friends, courage. Until next time, bye, you guys.